The county palatine of Cephalonia and Zakynthos existed from 1185 until 1479, as part of the Kingdom of Sicily. The title and the right to rule the Ionian islands of Cephalonia and Zakynthos was originally given to Margaritis of Brindisi for his services to William II, King of Sicily, in 1185. Following Margaritis, the county passed on to a branch of the family of Orsini until 1325, when it passed briefly to Angevins and then, from 1357, to the Tocco family. The Tocci used the county as a springboard for their acquisition of lands in the Greek mainland, and were successful in gaining control over the Despotate of Epirus from 1411 on. However, facing the advance of the Ottoman Turks, they successively lost their mainland territories and were once again reduced to the county palatine, which they held until 1479, when it was divided between Venice and the Ottomans. Zakynthos was put under direct rule of Venice and Cephalonia came under Turkish rule for 21 years. History. The beginning of the Frankish conquest in the islands of Cephalonia, Zakynthos in Ithaca was linked with the pirate and admiral of the Sicilian fleet Margaritis of Brindisi, known to the chroniclers of the late 12th century. He developed significant activity as the trustee of William II, Norman King of Sicily. In Latin documents of 1192–1193 he signed in Greek, as Margaritoni, Admiral Count Militios. Irrespective of Margaritis or unclear descent, it is certain that William, after the Norman invasion of 1185 against the Byzantine provinces, granted him the new Norman acquisitions in the Ionian Sea, in exchange for the services he had offered to the Normans. 10 years later, in 1195, Mayo or Matthew Orsini, possibly offspring of a Sicilian branch of the family of the Counts Palatines of Rome, succeeded Margaritis as the ruler of the Ionian Islands. In order to secure his position, Matthew recognized the dominion of Venice and of the Pope and later of the Prince of Achaia. That same period the Orthodox bishopric of the islands was abolished. The episcopal thrones were occupied by Latins and the feudal system was put into force. The successor of Matthew, Richard, the most noble count of the palace and lord of Cephalonia, Zakynthos and Ithaca, authenticated in 1264 the estates of the Latin bishopric of Cephalonia. During the reign of the latter Frankish ruler, Cephalonia had become a refuge to pirates. The Orsini family did not only rule the Ionian Islands, but it also conquered Epirus in early 14th century, thus acquiring the title of the despot as well. Certain members of the family embraced the Orthodox dogma and married Greek women. After the death of John II Orsini in 1335, the islands were occupied by the Anjou, who as rulers of Achaia had the islands under their suzerainty until then. The Angevin occupation lasted until 1357, when the said Greek territory was ceded to the Italian family of the Tocci, who remained in power for over a century and secured unity in the governance of those three Ionian islands. In 1357, Robert of Taranto ceded Cephalonia, Zakynthos and Ithaca to the governor of Corfu Leonardo I Tocco, as reward for the services he had provided when he was a captive of the King of Hungary. After the expansion of his dominion to Lucas, Leonardo I Tocco attempted to reinforce his position against Venice, the Pope, the Anjou, but mostly against the Albanians of Epirus, by entering into family relations with the Florentine family of the Acciaioli. This policy gave the family of the Tocci increased power, which reached its peak during the 15th century with its expansion to the continental coast. After Carlo I Tocco had conquered Ioannina Renata, he received the title of despot by the Byzantine Emperor Manuel II Palaeologos and maintained the Byzantine tradition. Seated in the islands of the Ionian Sea or in the acquisitions in central Greece, the dynasty of the Tocci attempted to win over the populations by ceding to the seigneurs, according to the Chronicle of the Tocco, inheritances, estates, kratomata, and pronoias. Following an analogous policy on the religious front, Leonardo III, the last of the Tocci dynasty, reinstated the orthodox episcopal throne of Cephalonia that had been abolished by the Orsini. Venice was not pleased with the increased influence of the Tocci. The downfall of the Duchy of the Tocci by the Turks gave the opportunity to the Serenissima to intervene resolutely in the Ionian Sea and succeeded, through the Treaty of 1484, in annexing Zakynthos and later, in 1500, Cephalonia and Ithaca. Counts Palatine of Cephalonia and Zakynthos, Margaritis of Brindisi, Orsini family Matthew Orsini, 1195 after 1238. Richard Orsini, before 1260 to 1304, John I Orsini, 1304 to 1317, Nicholas Orsini, 1317 to 1323, John II Orsini, 1323 to 1325, and Jevons John of Gravina, 1325 to 1336. Robert of Taranto, 1336 to 1357. House of Tocco Leonardo I Tocco, 1357 to 1376. Charles I Tocco, 1376 to 1429. Charles II Tocco, 1429 to 1448. Leonardo III Tocco, 1448 to 1479.